I feel like a monk in this shirt. Monk or a priest or a conductor. Maybe that's why I wore it. I feel like a conductor.
Oh, your conductor shirt without the necklace is a conductor shirt.
Yeah, there we go. So,
who did we interview today? Keri-Lynn Wilson, conductor extraordinaire, super, super talented, amazing musician. All of us singers love to have her in the pit, not only because she's so supportive, but because anything that she asks of you always comes from this intelligent, thoughtful place of intention. She also has a super fun side, super fun to hang out with, and I'm glad we were able to see that in this interview. Here's a clip.
so how do we go forward?
Well, one word, vaccine.
Yes. Yes, like, oh, right. Please.
I told him I was going, somebody in the medical field, he said, I told him I was going to Salzburg. He said, have you been vaccinated? I said, no, I'm not old enough. He said, we're putting ourselves at risk. Things will get back to normal when we can all be vaccinated and freely hug each other and sing in front of each other. So
I know.
I think that's the easy answer, but the hard answer is we're dependent on the financial support of everybody, the governments, if we're in Europe, supporters, audiences, and we have to all push for culture to be at the forefront of what's going forward, because we are left so far behind right now, as we all know.
I mean, it's a train wreck.
Hello, your son. Can we turn you? Can we get
We
you?
are turning. We are going to turn. Hello, ladies.
Hello, you beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
I'm here.
Happy New Year. This is 2021, people.
2021.
Oh, it doesn't feel any better, does it?
No. Seriously, like, women can rule the world. That's all I have.
You're conducting me, Gary.
We are super women.
How's that?
Fabulous. Hi.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Oh my
New
gosh.
Year.
Hoping it's getting happier.
Oh.
Girls.
I'm sorry, I had to wear this today.
Oh, that's, yes.
I
That says it all.
I had to.
I know. Look at, we're all in black.
And blonde.
Yeah.
Black and blue.
So you're in New York.
Yes. This is our neighborhood.
Nice.
So I thought, is that background okay? It's certainly not as elaborate as yours.
It's beautiful. Oh no. So talk to us about your December and what happened.
So
let's preface this by saying you were in Paris about to open Carmen. If I have the information correct, you had just finished final dress rehearsal. Is that correct?
Almost.
Okay.
So I went at the end of November. France was still in lockdown. So that was surreal in itself.
Okay.
We were rehearsing with the city shut down. We were all in masks, including the soloist and chorus, singing in masks.
Wow.
And of course, it was my first experience conducting with a mask, meeting an orchestra for the first time, because it was my debut. So you can imagine communicating with what normally would be such an exhilarating feeling, conducting a new orchestra in Carmen in France. And here I was, somewhat, it felt surreal in every sense, but especially the fact that I couldn't communicate as with all of my personality and everything there. I was kind of blocked, but perhaps in a sense, it was more special, and the orchestra was more keen and paying attention, because I think they understood there's an incredible awkward feeling, and just the eyes, you don't know if they're smiling or enjoying themselves. it was really surreal. But anyway, so we had 2 full weeks of rehearsals. I got to know the cast very well, the chorus very well. Then in the second week, we had orchestra rehearsals, 2 alone. We had a Sitzprobe. Then we had 2 stage and orchestras, what were to be before the general. The first stage and orchestra was such an exhilarating feeling. We were all happy to be on stage. It went fabulously. We got through Act 1 and 2. Then we had an hour break. During the break, the producer knocked on my dressing room door and said, "Have you heard the news?" I said, of course, I understood immediately. I said, "What's happening?" I thought somebody got COVID. Thank God nobody got COVID. She said, "The government is shutting down the theater. We have to stop." So the entire company, we all gathered on stage. Alexander Neve, he made a speech, and I said a little speech to the orchestra, to the chorus, to the stagehands, the technicians, everybody in the company. It was so emotional. Of course, we're all in masks, but you know, there are tons of tears. And it was such a beautiful experience. We had worked so hard and just enjoyed it. We were all so happy to be back at work. And I think I can speak on behalf of the orchestra and chorus. So anyway, I've been invited back in a couple of seasons. So there was a silver lining. It was a beautiful collaboration, and I'm thrilled that it will continue.
I love that.
Is it going to be the Carmen? Are they going to have you back?
Oh,
for
we're
Carmen?
we're in discussion. So that's
Okay.
TBA.
I loved, I totally followed you on social media, FYI. And I loved your post though about the score, about going to try to make some kind of silver lining out of that immense sadness that I'm just feeling. I want to start crying actually with you right now. That's just awful. I could just imagine in this whole, I just can't. Anyway, so I love that the silver lining was that you were able to do that before you left, before you were.
Yes. So the next day, I had a day before I went to travel, and it was either just be devastated or do something great. So I went to the orchestre, the Bibliothèque Nationale, and I had a private showing of the manuscript.
Wow.
It was exhilarating, and you know, it's so old. I was turning the pages, and it was just.
Is it a lot different? Was that version a lot different than the version that's performed now?
Well, that's how much time do we have?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a fascinating journey through what Ernst Giraud, he had done all sorts of changes in the score into the manuscript. So we're not sure what was Bizet's real intention, if these guts, these added recitatives, it's just a whole bunch of information that I think over the century, over the decades, we've tried to make sense. And it's all about what the directors are trying to say, perhaps, in their productions. And so that will determine how much we're taking out, putting in, if it's spoken dialogue, if it's a recitative, if there's no dialogue. I've done all sorts of versions. But so it's fascinating to have at least everything there to say, well, maybe he wanted this or maybe he didn't. So
yeah,
it's
like
an
Hoffmann.
excellent source.
Hoffmann's another opera that has a lot of different versions and blah, blah, blah. That's cool.
Yeah,
yes. So I'll be doing more posts about that because we did a lot of videos and
yeah.
Well, I look forward to seeing those. That's cool.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's coming up now?
Salzburg Mozartwoche.
It's working. It's gonna go?
Knock on wood, for streaming.
Okay.
Now it was supposed to be a very big festival. Our friend Rolando Villazon, he's the artistic director. He has had to make immense cuts in terms of the programming because of cuts in funding. I'm fortunate my concert was supposed to open the festival, and it indeed will open the streaming. So we are preparing, yes, for this right now. The program is changing. I've got tons of Baron in front of me all day. I was. He's changing the program. He's adding soloists. It's going to be a very festive gala. But of course, the conductors left scrambling to mark all the materials. And anyway, I'm very excited. I couldn't be more thrilled.
Isn't that how things are right? Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
Isn't that how things are right now, though? We have to just, be ready to do this or to do that or just to jump into something right now.
Absolutely.
Everything's so uncertain.
The fact he said, could we do this aria, this aria? Oh, I don't know them. I'll learn them in a week. Fine.
Yeah.
Just to learn. There's about 4 pieces I have to learn, which we know. And next week, thanks, Rolando. But it's okay.
Oh, man.
I really loved your attitude on social media about the pandemic, about instead of kind of following down a hole, which a lot of us wanted to do. I mean, Sandra and I talked about this numerous times, even within what we started with Screaming Divas and wanting, instead of putting music out, we wanted to have a conversation out there throughout this time. I really love that you said, I'm going to do this because this is going to fuel my brain and my soul and my heart. At least that's how I took it when I read about it. And my question to you, though, is because what you did was you said you wanted to study the ring. And I wanted to know, as of 2021, how far did you get?
Oh, I finished it before Paris.
Oh,
but finished is a whole world of information, because what I did was I studied it.
Okay.
I understood every character, their role, the orchestra, the harmonies, the melodies, the structure, the plot. That in itself is takes a year, right? Let's see if I can remember it when I have to conduct it. But the analysis and just getting it all in my brain and heart. But once it's really in your soul, that can only happen when you're conducting it.
Yeah.
So it's a virgin. It's a virgin step. I'm beyond the virginity. I understand it. I know it. I'm ready to conduct it.
Okay.
And until I've conducted it, I still don't know it.
Okay.
And I could say that with Tosca, if you've done it once, you don't know the opera as a conductor. You have to do it 20 times. And I'm sure you both can absolutely relate. The first time you do a role, it's fresh. It may be fantastic and exciting, but you really feel like for example, if you go to your next production and a conductor says, let's do it this way. Mm-hmm. And you think, well, last time I'm not ready to do it that way. That's what happens with me. You both were my Toscas, I think. Sandra, you sang Visitarte with me.
Yep.
After 10 productions, I start to know what range I can ask for in a singer. Keri, when we were going up to those high C's, I have all these memories of both of you. We're so vivid. It was only 2 years ago, but I remember everything.
Oh, no.
We were talking about how long we would do the high C and the Act 2 climax.
Yes.
And I was trying to push you. You weren't quite convinced, and I was thinking, well, how far can I go? And you were so wonderful. You kept pushing yourself. So that's when I feel I know an opera, how much I can demand of singers.
And also singers, I think, the more we do it, the more freedom we get and the more we can play with it.
Yeah.
Right.
I think.
That's the same with conducting.
Okay. Playing with it. That's cool.
Yeah, I love that. I love hearing that. Okay.
Yeah.
And tempos. Let's not forget tempos. Having done 500 Toscas or 500 Don Giovannis, one gets a better sense of what tempo works, I think.
It's true. And everybody has a different, I think, somebody once described tempo to me, especially with Mozart, as you have to use your pulse, your heart rate as a guide for doing the coloratura and finding the tempi for Mozart, because everybody has a different speed for their coloratura, for their you know, for their heartbeat. And maybe that's my reason for my coloratura being so slow. I have a low
I
heartbeat.
don't think it's slow. I don't think that's the right.
It's my excuse, and I'm going to run with it.
Oh, okay. I'm like, girl.
I know. So you
As a
talked
master of coloratura, that's shocking you say that, but interesting. Interesting
Well,
about your heartbeat.
it
has
is.
It has to be based on feeling. There's no doubt.
So
What feels right?
Yep.
when you just said the tempo, you find the tempo that you love to conduct Tosca in or Don Giovanni. Now, when you have a singer that comes that vocally cannot manage the tempo that you want, then what happens? Do you push for that, or do you and demand that, or do you accommodate the singer and their vocal needs?
Compromise. Compromise, compromise, compromise. In fact, I just had this very crucial moment in my conducting career. I was making my debut in Paris. My lovely Carmen, she and I had a very strong disagreement on a tempo.
Oh.
And it was for the entire piece of one piece of the opera.
Okay.
The chanson. I had this idea of starting very slow, which I've done in the past, starting very slow to super fast at the end. So it takes off. So that was my concept, and I've had it in the past. Bardui, I adore her. We are very good friends. She said, Keri-Lynn, I can't do that. I just can't. I don't have the breath control. I can't do that with this staging. She's crawling across Calixto Pieto's car on stage. She just couldn't do it. So I tried a couple of staging rehearsals with her, pushing her, seeing how much, of course, with piano.
Right.
Staging with piano, never with orchestra. I wouldn't push her. So she said, okay, I'm going to try. Попробую. We speak in Russian. Попробую. Давайте. So she tried. She came panting, panicked, saying, I can't do it. I can't do it. So we got to the zits. I compromised a little.
Okay.
She came up to me after, said, I'm so worried. I've lost sleep. I can't do this. I said, okay. I said, that was our try. Tomorrow morning, next zits, we're going to fix it.
Okay.
I took her tempos. She was thrilled. And I don't think Bizet would have felt that this was anything that he didn't want. So if it doesn't go against what I would consider are the composer's intentions, I'm all for it. Because a singer has to be comfortable, and they have to, bless you, you have to act and sing and deal with all sorts of things. She's wearing a mask. I mean, that was a whole other thing, you know.
I can't even imagine.
Fantastic. So,
do you think that conductors need to know the function of the voice how it works for us, how it feels in your throat, the technical aspect of it? Do you think conductors need to know how to sing?
Yeah, do they know how to sing or understand breath support or all of that?
Oh, you absolutely have to understand breath. Number one, breath. Where to place the high notes, diaphragm, all that stuff. But the second they start saying, well, why don't you use this or do that, like a technician, if they're not a singer, I don't think, well, I personally would never do that. I only speak about the music. Okay. And if I say, can you have an airier sound? Can you have more dolce? I assume that the singer will find that color. And if I explain it not in technical terms of where the voice is, but rather with musical terms, that's I think the best. Well, I mean, also because I'm not a singing coach. I was never a singing coach, and I never will.
Yeah. Right. Well, there's different types of conductors. There's definitely different types of opera conductors. There are the conductors who honestly coach you as you're working in a musical or in rehearsals and say, you know, Sandra, turn your voice like this, or do this or do that. But then there's the other people who just are strictly conductors and want the best sound possible, but don't tell you how to create it. And you know,
Right.
it's a fine line, but in the music business, I find there's so many different jobs that that kind of hurdle two different jobs. Coaches sometimes think that they're
Right.
voice teachers, and coaches think they're conductors or it's very
Yes.
vague, our business. And
Yeah.
It's true. I think that conductors have to take a step back always. If the singer is saying, I can't find that, I can't execute what you're trying, then we have to find something else. And the conductor has to understand. I'm saying this like I'm defending singers, but I think it's so important.
thank you.
Because I
You need
see
somebody to
so
defend
often conductors take tempos that are just drastically impossible to sing. Perhaps for one singer it works, but for another it doesn't. And some conductors are so set. They're not using their hearts, and they're not using the best judgment musically. So.
Yeah. My question is, what do you do with a singer who is just really adamantly being a jerk and saying, I don't want to do your tempi. I know I could probably do it, and you know that they can sing it, but they just don't want to do it. How do you manage through that?
Compromise.
Well, it depends how much. If I stick with my tempo, if it's going to be a disaster in performance, then I will get blamed. So I would have to compromise. In too much. I would have to overcompromise.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, Sandra and I both been on stage with singers that have just decided, I'm going to do my own tempo.
Yes.
What's happening in the pit. And I've always wondered what's going on in your mind, because I know what's happening and I can feel it, and see it. But I'm just wondering what's going on with what you're.
It's like having your gut, because you're having to do something you're so against doing musically. It especially happens in, of course, bel canto or Mozart, where it's più accompagnando. But fortunately with tempi like Tosca, Eugene Onegin, this is where the orchestra plays a little more of a primary role, so I can take charge and the singer has to kind of adapt. But when it's bel canto, then I'm really at the mercy of good judgment of a singer.
It's true.
That was the politically way to say
No,
that.
I feel the same way. It's a conversation, and I feel between a conductor and a singer, it's a conversation going on.
Yes.
And if you check out of the conversation, either the singer or the conductor or the orchestra, then that conversation is over, and you're just kind of treading water. And
So true.
Is it different conducting orchestral pieces, symphonies, as opposed to opera?
And do you have a preference?
Very different. I like the balance. And you may have heard me say this, Keri. It sounds like you've done your homework listening to some interviews of mine. To maintain sanity, I have to have at least half of my time symphonic. But there are two reasons. It's because of the repertoire.
Yeah.
Verdi didn't write symphonies.
No.
Beethoven only wrote one opera. The fact that I love Mahler, he didn't write operas. The fact that I love Verdi, I can't perform it in symphonic concerts. So there's the repertoire. Wagner, if you want to perform Wagner, it has to be opera. I'm being simple here, but what I love about opera is not just, of course, the voice, just, of course, the singing, but it's embracing literature, history, languages. It made me such a more well-rounded person, musician, human being. It's theater, it's drama, it's history. So I feel, like I said, much more well-rounded as a conductor, but also it makes me technically a much better symphonic conductor because I'm used to breathing with singers. It's a technical thing to be flexible, but also just the breath and working with musicians. It's breathing with them. So it's not just with singers, breathing with orchestral musicians is vital. So it's I think it's essential. We shouldn't say opera or symphony.
No.
It's just it's
Music.
a package. Yes, music. Bravo.
That is more of a bigger problem, and you had said this, and I agree with you. It's a bigger problem here in the States, that separation.
Yeah,
Even for singers,
so strange.
once you are in the opera world and you're primarily in the opera world, it's really hard to break into the symphonic world, and vice versa if you primarily sing symphonic work. So I was wondering, is that the same? Do you find that to be the same for you as a conductor, that it's harder to find? I mean, my niche went into opera, and so it's harder for me to break into the symphonic world.
Huh. Interesting. Well, my career is basically in Europe, where they consider them both. So.
Yeah, it's balance.
But
How did you get into opera? How was your passion for music, singing, opera, symphonic? How did it start?
It started with an invitation. Keri will know, I hated opera as a child. I have a very musical family, half of which is quite operatic. And my father was a conductor of Symphony. I'll try not bore you because I've said this in so many interviews, but to keep it fresh, I was on a career path of symphonic conducting, not by choice, just because that's what I had done on my youth, etc. And at Juilliard, we had focused on orchestral. I was very much into Beethoven, Mahler, all the symphonies. I went to the Dallas Symphony as an associate conductor. It was all symphonic. I was asked to do a concert in Europe with Jose Carreras, this gala concert in Rome at the Vatican. And it went very well. And this wonderful producer, he said, would you like to work in Italy? Would you like to do a Lucia in Verona? I said, of course I would. I couldn't sing you a tune at the time. I didn't know Lucia, Donizetti, maybe I'd heard a few of his operas. Literally, I was very, very inexperienced and had never conducted an opera, never worked with a singer. And I went and I did the gala with Carreras. It felt natural.
Okay.
It didn't feel foreign. The only thing that felt foreign was, yes, dealing with singers. As a youngster, I mean, I was in Verona doing Lucia with singers who had sung it the role 10, 15, 20 years. And when they said, here was the first thing, when they said, maestro, how would you like the cadenza? And I thought, well, how do you like to sing it? How do you like to sing? What's your interpretation there? They said, well, it was a duet. So they were both showing, well, but you decide. I thought, okay. And so that there was the time that I realized, yes, this is you have to know so much in opera. It's not just about the score. It's not just about in bel canto. You have to know every single option for the verismo, for the bel canto, every single variation, every single nuance, everything. So I learned that very quickly, but in the lion's den. Anyway, from
and languages too.
And of course, languages.
How many do you speak?
Not enough.
Excuse me. More than 2 is a lot, and you speak 7, 8?
5.5.
5.
See, not enough.
Oh, come on.
All right, well, what are they? I mean, I know you speak Russian, French, English.
Right. Italian, of course.
Okay.
And German, and poquito español. Bad español, because I always, I forgive myself. I speak Italian, so I can get along in Spain.
It's exactly my problem with Spanish too. I think in Italian and then
Sometimes they look at you like, what? I don't think so.
Except in Barcelona. Barcelona, they understand Italian, so you're like, okay, we're good to go.
Yes.
Can we, I hate this word pivot.
Oh, okay. Where are we going?
Where are we going? Well, we're 3 strong women, And you are in a career dominated, let's face it, by men. How has that been a challenge for you, and how have you persevered and gotten to the point where you are now, which is very successful?
Thank you. I've never let it be part of my thought process. It's I've always felt what I wanted to do in life, I do. I was told as a child, whatever you want to do, the world is yours. The world is your oyster. I was at Juilliard. I was a flutist. I thought there was a conducting program. I liked the maestro. I thought flute is boring. I would like to change into conducting. I took the audition. I got in. I spent 4 years conducting there. My teacher, who is this very German, old-fashioned Otto Werner Müller, he would make comments like, for a woman, you're very good or something, or I have very few women. No, he didn't say for a woman, but he would say, he would say some things, which I would just roll my eyes, okay, whatever. Get on to, let's talk about Beethoven. But he would make these silly comments, you are very good. And she is my student, pretending like I'm something special. That, it just turned me off, but it was okay. I adored him, and bless him, he's passed away now. But so I went to the Dallas Symphony. I got the position immediately after Juilliard. Did I question it? Well, I'm a woman. How did I get a job so fast? No. See, people, as soon as I went to Dallas, the journalist always asked me, what's it like? Oh, you're a woman. And then when I went to Italy, una donna, una maestro. I was always asked so many questions about being a woman. And I just say, I don't know what it's like to be a woman conductor, because I've never been a man conductor to make any comparison. I mean, I do what I do. I do what I love, and nobody's stopping me. Here's the thing. I think that musicians, they judge you on your musicianship. Ultimately, the first 5 minutes of music making, then they're judging you on musicianship. When you're walking on the podium, okay, something interesting. Maybe, we're not so used to seeing a woman on the podium, and same with audiences. But after, yes, just start making music. They're going to judge you on your musicianship, and not as by your sex or your skin color or your beliefs.
I know. I hope someday that it is just that these questions aren't asked of you because you're a woman or because of someone's skin color or religious background or whatever it is. My hope and prayer is that hopefully eventually we won't have to ask these questions. But I do feel though that sometimes as a female, you're judged immediately, and especially in a role such as your job, because there are so few of you. There are more coming, but there are so few of you. So I just was curious if there had been instances in your career where you felt that you were judged, or if you were, I can't think of the right word, or disrespected in a way because you were a female in charge of an orchestra, maybe in a community that is still very much male centered and male dominated, that they're more powerful than we are, or thought that way.
Well, there's never been anything offensive in that term, but I'm not unaware of being sometimes observed as being a woman. I'm trying to think of giving an example. Sure, you can have a macho section who aren't paying attention so much in rehearsal. And if I stop and try and establish my authority to try and get them to calm down or something, it's a fine line, I think, for women, how much you can tell them to. Like a man would have no qualms whatsoever about saying, stai zitto, or, I think a woman has to be a little more careful. But that doesn't go so much against my personality. I'm not one to say, stai zitto.
Okay.
I like a polite approach. I like just to be myself. If I have to be forceful, it's very awkward and uncomfortable. But it's happened. It's happened, and I don't feel good about it if I have to yell or scream. But,
Right.
I might have.
You got to do. It's all about making music and getting the best interpretation and performance out of an orchestra. So if that's what it takes,
I might have
I
experienced
don't.
one of those explosions.
What's that?
I might have experienced one of those explosions with you.
How bad was that?
Ooh, no, you were good. You were very good. You were very controlled. You were very authoritative. And you just said, listen, we're here to make music. But so,
Authority. Sorry. Authority I've never had a problem with.
no.
Yeah.
I would.
No, I'm the boss. That's there's no problem there. It's just how I'm always, I think before I do. So when it's a spontaneous thing, I've worked at it. How to,
Yeah. Well, it's
be authoritarian, but authoritative, excuse me, but and
It's a
do it in a way that's
comfort job.
effective. Yeah.
So can you tell us what it actually feels like to be in charge of something? You're in the middle of a show, you are in charge of this whole ship moving forward and running and churning. And so I love to ask conductors that. I've gotten so many wonderful answers over the years. And I think one of my favorite was an American Mack truck with the back bed that can sometimes, swing from side to side, and you're holding that steering wheel for dear life. Like, we are going to get to our destination. So I was just wondering what it felt like for you to have that power and that control over what is happening with everyone. I mean, from your position to backstage, what does it feel like?
For me, it's all about being a conduit from the composer. I have, the second I'm starting to conduct, I'm out of myself. I'm totally driven by, hopefully, without being too distracted. Of course, there are always things that come up, but it's an engine of energy and passion. And it's like being a muse for the composer. So I think that's something that's a gift, I think, for performance, because you're no longer nervous, you're no longer anxious. It's just this exhilarating feeling of performing. And of course, as a conductor, you're making it happen through these gestures. So it's an exhilarating feeling. And perhaps that's why certain conductors get carried away and have big egos, because we have so much power. But that's totally opposite. We are really coming from it's coming from inside. This is a miracle of life, that we're speaking a language. We are the conduits. So that's a bit of a poetic explanation for you, but I miss performing so much, because my soul is singing. That's how I sing. My soul sings. Yeah.
Okay. Love that.
So being a conductor is very physical.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize just how physical it can be. What do you do to stay in shape? Do you have a routine? Do you have a workout routine? Do you have a pre-performance routine as well?
I do. I'm the most boring routine person on the planet, I think. I have such an agenda. Every day I have to swim. I have to swim a half an hour. That was the only sacrifice I made in Paris, because in quarantine, there was a pool only open 2 times a week. With a medical certificate, I was actually fortunate, because of my job, that I said, please let me swim. So during quarantine in Paris, I had to make a huge sacrifice of not swimming each day. But otherwise, I've swam half an hour each day, every day, since I was about 20. I think I'm kind of crazy. I also walk at least an hour a day if I'm not conducting. I'm always active. I always have to be moving. That's all I do. So I work out. I also do weights, and I do arm strengthening on top of swimming.
Well, it's very physical. I mean, how many times do we hear conductors with shoulder and neck injuries?
Yeah.
Your back.
And I don't have any. So perhaps that's a blessing. Yeah.
Do you have any pre-show rituals? I mean, we singers, I love talking about we're all nuts.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty nuts. I do crazy things. Like I sing, like go jumping jacks. I sing anything just to get my adrenaline up. Okay. And on the other hand, I'll sit for 2 hours in a room with no score, silence, and think through the music.
Okay.
That kind of thing. Just I need total peace
Mhm.
or total chaos. I need both. It's strange, very strange. But right before I perform jumping jacks and getting my blood going, and then go out.
Do you always wear the same outfit? Do you always have a, like
I have
a suit or an armor?
Sword and shield. I've always worn Armani because they make such beautifully cut suits, and they're feminine, cut tailored to your body. So feminine, but not too feminine. I could never stand wearing a dress because I wear a dress off the podium. That's fine. I like to be glamorous, and I have a huge wardrobe at home. That was the one good thing about quarantine. I could actually get through all my clothes. That's being really
Isn't
silly,
it true? Isn't it true?
I have so many clothes when I'm on the road. You always buy stuff. You girls, when you're on the road,
I never buy anything.
You haven't packed enough. You haven't packed. Or you go shopping. So we have accumulation of wardrobe at home. Oh, yeah. So anyway, when I'm conducting, here's the irony. When I pack for a week or a month of conducting, it's all black, basics, 4 pairs of pants, 10 tops, couple of suits. It's all black. Boring. But the Armani has a special touch because it's very elegant. So.
Yeah, and it fits you well. It really does. Yes. It's your personality, but also it fits you. The cut of it is really good.
Right.
So we interviewed Marilyn Horn, and she talked a lot about her frustration with conductors that just play everything so loud. How do you get orchestras to really listen to the dynamics and follow the dynamics in both symphonic and orchestra and opera?
Well, if you can't hear the singer, you're too loud. And no matter what house I'm in, if I can't hear the the singers, it's too loud. All the assistants behind me. Basically, if ever I say, are we too loud? And I know we are. They'll say, yes. When I turn back and I think we're not too loud, are we too loud? No. Basically, so at the first rehearsal, I will get a sense of no longer needing to know. What basically is good about an assistant in the back is if we're loud enough, if you can get the detail of pizzicato or the bowing, this enough string sound, that always is an issue. But yes, short answer, if you can't hear the singer, then they can't. And when they're too loud, I say, we're not listening. Or if you can't hear the singer, you're too loud.
But that's hard in Wagnerian operas and, and a lot of the German music that's so thick and lush.
Now that's when you depend on a really good house because you are saved. I remember we were playing up a storm in the Rigoletto, in the Act 2, big moment of Rigoletto, Cortigiani. And I was so loud, and I said, we're too loud, right? No, the house, this Oslo, the Norwegian Opera House, fantastic acoustic. We could play as loud as we wanted. So we really are at the mercy of good acoustics.
Okay.
Wow. So going back to singers again, what would you say are the most important traits for our young singers out there? Most important traits that you as a conductor look for in us singers?
I'm like, when they watch and when they listen to the orchestra and they watch the conductor, or even in a piano rehearsal, first piano rehearsal, if the singer, even if they have their score, as is professional to do, they're still watching. And I don't mean necessarily I see their eyes. I know they're responding to what I'm doing. when a singer, if I'm conducting in a piano rehearsal, the first piano rehearsal, and they're not responding at all, I see it's not working, that's when I know it's going to be a tough week or two, because a good singer naturally has that, a collaborative approach to music making. Most singers haven't been trained, perhaps, or played in an orchestra or made chamber music together. It again, if a singer is a musician, that's what it's all about. Singers, they're not just thinking about where they're placing things in their voice. They're coming with an instrument that is part of a body of instruments. And personality, I love it when even, I don't care if I have divas or crazy singers, I love that too. It's because they have something special to say, there's no doubt, or they're insecure, we're all insecure. Sure. That's okay, as long as we can have a collaborative relationship. If we can discuss what's bothering you, if we can discuss, maestro, that was way too much, the pausa, pardon, and if I can scream over the orchestra, it's like, I'm so sorry, we will do it again. It has to be this kind of friendly, it can't be conductor singer category. It's life is too short. It's all about music. Yeah. It's just making Mozart, making Verdi, making Wagner. Come alive. We're all soldiers of music.
Absolutely. And I find when people can set their egos down, because there's lots of egos on stage, in the pit, on the podium, and it's amazing when everybody actually can set all of that aside and just make music together. So it's always, kind of like a triangle or a box between the first chairs and you and me on stage. And when that all comes together, it is really one of the most glorious moments, feelings, sensations, and the audience knows it, even if they know nothing about what we know. They've never even been to a show before or experienced anything like this. They know it because it's just this wonderful magic, and I don't know how to describe it.
It is magic.
That is the description. It's magic.
They come back. They think, oh my gosh, I don't know what I just heard, or what I don't understand what they were saying, or whatever it is, but it made me feel something, and I need to do that again. And
I think it's chemistry. It's really the chemistry of what's going on in the team.
Yeah.
Right.
So the future of opera.
Oh my God, we have to talk about digital content.
We have to talk about digital content. How do you feel about it in all of this singing online? And
I hate it.
Oh, amen. I love you.
I love you too. I hate it too.
Girls, I have to tell you, the day after, I'm sorry, I call you girls, ladies.
Oh, we're girls. Thank you. We're girls.
My colleagues, respected colleagues. The day after we finished this, Carmen, we were aborted, left at the altar. Where was I going? Hold on. Manuscript.
Digital content.
Yeah, no, I did an interview that night on live TV.
Whoa.
For France Info. Keri, you missed that one. That was
yeah, because I didn't.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. And it was funny because we had a poorly organized. The producers of the show sent a car, but the car didn't arrive, and we arrived at the last minute. And I was in the studio, and I hadn't done my hair and makeup, so I was throwing on some makeup. And I just looked at the producers behind my back. They said, "Are you okay?" I said, I just want to conduct. It's, we're not meant to be social media stars. We're not meant, here I was doing all those things on social media because I felt, yes, I want to reach out to my friends and colleagues.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be, it also helped me. It was a healing thing to communicate with you.
Absolutely. Right.
But the sterility of preparing a text for a video, or I was doing these excerpts of Wagner at the piano. It Yes, Keri, your face says it all. I would make those faces. But
It's
somebody
sterility.
might
That
turn
is
it
the
into a
perfect
TikTok.
word. It's sterile. You're
It's
right.
sterile.
It's not living. It's not breathing.
Yeah.
Like we know how making music, all three of us is.
I have to feel you. I have to have your breath. I have to have, it was amazing.
So how
I
do we
think,
go forward?
well, one word, vaccine.
Yes. Yes, like, oh, right. Please.
I told him I was going, somebody in the medical field, he said, I told him I was going to Salzburg. He said, have you been vaccinated? I said, no, I'm not old enough. He said, we're putting ourselves at risk. Things will get back to normal when we can all be vaccinated and freely hug each other and sing in front of each other.
I know.
I think that's the easy answer, but the hard answer is we're dependent on the financial support of everybody, the governments, if we're in Europe, supporters, audiences, and we have to all push for culture to be at the forefront of what's going forward, because we are left so far behind right now, as we all know.
I mean, it's a train wreck.
It's just left so many, not just musicians, artists in the United States, around the world, left hanging. And, without art, I don't see culture and society moving forward.
Right. That's right.
And it brings
We're in a very, very bad place in history of civilization, of Western society.
Well, I really appreciated you being very honest during the pandemic and calling it out like it is, that all of us in North America were jealous of when European.
Yes.
And when I read that, I was like, yes, that's why I like you. Because it's the truth, because I've watched, my friends or the 5 Americans that flew over there in June, luckily they flew over there and they were able to work, and I mean, listen, Sandra and I've been friends for a really long time. And as much as I love her, I'm like, that's not fair.
I know. And when I was about to fly to Paris, I wrote Sandra, I said, please tell me how you protect yourself in the airports. And I was asking advice.
Divas body condom. I didn't tell you that one, but no, I'm supposed to leave on Sunday.
She is again.
Okay. We'll compare notes. I'm leaving next Thursday.
Okay. We'll
there's
collaborate
a difference in how they are taking care of you in a way that we can't afford to take care of. In my opinion, that the opera companies here can't afford to take care of everyone. Right. It's a completely different situation. Even when Sandra was talking about Madrid versus Barcelona versus whatever, what they can afford to do and what the government has given them is so way more than what we have access to over here. We don't even have access to tests as a general population that they do over there. So it's frightening and horrifying. And I feel like we're going to there's going to be such devastation that so many artists, and we have lost so much talent when we all come out of this, because I don't know how many people are actually going to be able to hold on until we can come back. That's the heartbreaking thing to me. What are we doing? What young singers, what
young singers, I think all levels of singers, musicians.
It's all levels.
All levels.
It really is. It is.
Top to bottom. I mean, it has leveled our field, the artistic world completely. Everyone is equal now because no one's working. So I was at my throat doctor yesterday here in Toronto, the speech pathologist, and I drove by the Canadian Opera Company going there. I didn't even tell Keri about this. And seeing all the lights off in the COC was just, I started crying in the car. And Aaron Lowe, the speech pathologist, he said, well, you know what? He said, all those young artists used to come to me, but they're not coming to me anymore because A, they can't afford it. B, they're not singing. And, for instance, one of the guys that I knew, he's driving trucks now. Yeah. So yeah, I hope we all hope that 2021 is going
Comes
to,
back with a roar
yeah.
in September.
Yeah. Yeah,
Let's
well,
hope.
I know, seriously. Shall we quick do some rapid fire? Because I know you have to go and celebrate tonight.
What is rapid fire?
Ooh, quick questions, quick answers. Ding, ding, ding. Yep, you're good at this. So I'm going to start it. What's the worst gift that you've been ever given by your spouse?
She's like, I can't answer that.
I can't answer that.
It was
No, we'll skip
something
that one.
beautiful. It was something beautiful, but in green. I don't like green.
Okay.
Everyone in the world, don't give her anything evergreen.
That is just a silly answer. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We could just say, what's the worst gift you've ever been given?
Right.
The green thing.
Oh, anything in green?
Worst color ever is green for you.
KeriLynn. Okay.
That's one of them, I suppose.
Okay.
What is the worst habit that you will never break? Ooh,
Being obnoxious to my family members.
At least it's not to us singers. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one. Biggest pet peeve. Oh, singers who aren't prepared.
Yes. Yeah.
I always
I
feel
get it.
guilty admitting that because there have been moments in my career where I am really just like memorizing as I'm walking to rehearsal. Because
We've all been there, Keri.
whatever the schedule is, but I totally agree with you because it really annoys the crap out of me when whoever in the room is not prepared. We're just like, let's go, people, let's get this done. But
Or on stage, mouthing the words to them.
Oh, I do that all the time.
praise Jesus for that because no matter how many times I've sung something, I still forget words. And I don't know why that is in my dyslexic brain, but I'm glad you do that, KeriLynn.
With pleasure.
What advice would you give to a younger you?
Put all the bowings in the parts that you have. No, this is serious. When you have time as a younger conductor, you should be putting all the bowings that you've had connections with orchestras, all the information that you have learned in a performance, in rehearsal process, so that when you do it next, you have that experience. It's in the score. Bowings for me are an obsession. And I'm always questioning what kind of this for singers, I'm sure is like, anyway, that is something as a conductor, for me, it's an obsession. So I regret not having several bowings in my scores, like Brahms symphonies from Otto Werner Müller or from Claudio Abbado, some Mahler bowings. So that I have to, it takes great energy and research to get those back.
It's time consuming too.
Yes. So the advice to myself when I was younger, perhaps I could have used my time a little better rather than partying in New York City.
I somehow don't
But
think.
then I would have lost my youth, right?
Right.
Everybody needs to party in New York City once in their life. I mean,
Bingo.
No. I did it plenty. It's fine.
Good.
Favorite word. What's your favorite word?
Favorite word?
Yeah, in any language.
Word.
Favorite
Right.
word.
Vdachновenie. Vdachnovenie.
Vdach?
Inspiration. Vdachnovenie. It's so beautiful, no?
Yeah, it is. It kind of flows very nice.
Yes. And it's difficult. Vdachnovenie.
Vdachnovenie.
It's VD. Vdachnovenie.
Vdachnovenie.
I have to move my hands when I do that.
Is that Russian?
That's Russian for inspiration.
Cool.
And least favorite word?
Well, the one I use all the time would be Scheiße.
Well.
So when I don't like something.
Okay, well, is that your favorite cuss word?
Yes.
Best beauty tip. How about that?
Yeah, best beauty tip.
Best beauty tip.
Well, I'm sure you would appreciate it. It's waterproof eyeliner and mascara. Because when I conduct, when I didn't have waterproof mascara, I would get off a Bruckner 4. And I'll never forget, I had literally looked like a raccoon because it's so emotional and there's a lot of sweat when you conduct. Yep. So as a female conductor, I would categorically say, I make a waterproof.
Very good. Last one?
Last one. Okay. If heaven exists, what do you want to hear God say as you walk through the pearly gates?
This is a continuation of your life.
Beautiful. Well put. Thank you very much. That's rapid fire.
Oh,
thank you very much. Take care.
I just want to thank you both so much. I've watched a few of your excerpts of your shows, and you are so funny and so enthusiastic and so lovely and charming. Aww. And I'm honored to be on your show. And please don't ham it up for me like, oh, she's so great, because I'm not.
Well, you are.
Just keep it low, low profile.
We think you're great.
I want to work with you both so much.
I know.
I hope we have to plan it. We have to make it happen.
I know.
Okay. I think the world of you too.
Aw, thanks. And
Thank
you too.
So much. Happy New Year. And I can't wait.
Happy New Year. Yes. Happy, as they say in Russian, Srodzitvom. Oh, you there? Srodzitvom. S Novym Godem, s Novym Szczęściem. It means Happy New Year and Happy New Happiness. Ooh. Actually, it's Happy New Year and new happiness.
That's a great phrase. That's today, right?
That's actually today is Rождество, which is Christmas. Next week is Russian New Year. So okay, but you can say it. We Russians, Ukrainians celebrate both Orthodox and non-Orthodox.
That's great. Well, take care. Yes, we give you big hugs.
I'm talking too much. Thank you
no,
so much
okay.
again. Love.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.